Restart India presents Let's Talk Business, a talk show curated and presented by Restart India, an initiative started by Muthoot FinCorp Limited in partnership with Inc. Restart India came into being during the initial days of the lockdown with an aim to address the concerns of small businesses. One of the ways we connect with our community of small businesses is through our live events. At Restart India, while we are running on-ground campaigns to support and restart micro and nano businesses, the talk shows and live events are aimed to create a community wherein the advice from one entrepreneur or mentor can help other startups learn, share views, and grow. Our live events also create awareness to enable the community to come together and support small and local businesses. In this new edition of live events, we call Let's Talk Business. It is a conversation between entrepreneurs who run small businesses. We want to hear from them on how they ideated, set up their business, the challenges they faced, and how they have come to be where they are now. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Tina Muthoot. Welcome to Let's Talk Business. So, if you ask any of those who are just entering the workforce about their vision in terms of their career, starting a business of their own often ranks as one among their top goals. However, starting a business can be a challenging and tough exercise. But with the right amount of guidance and advice, we at Restart India believe that these goals can be made into a reality. The main focus of this series of talks, Let's Talk Business, and our live series up to now, is to get ideas on the aspects of running a business from people who have already started and are running successful businesses of their own. So today for our show, we have with us two entrepreneurs who manage their own successful startups. Our first panelist for today is Bhavna, who is an entrepreneur in the cake and confectioneries business. She's also the owner and co-founder of the Sugar Sifter. She started her career as a marketing professional, which she soon realized she wanted to set up her own venture as a baker. She started baking for family and friends. So this is a business that got converted from a hobby and now bakes for celebrities and high-profile weddings. Bhavna, she aspires to provide her services pan-India, and she's been slowly expanding to all over the state of Kerala as well. Her aspiration, she believes that passion and hard work is required for any small business to be successful. She's come this far, but she still keeps on innovating and trying new things with the dream of taking her business to the next level. It's good to have you here, Bhavna. Welcome to Let's Talk Business.
Thank you, Tina. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise. So our next panelist is Haris Ibn Sahid, who's a founder and CEO of Untangle Pro Strategy, a technology firm that closely works with heavy manufacturing companies. We'll get to know what that is once we start speaking with Haris. He started his career at the age of 18 while he was still pursuing his studies in business management. And at that time, he was exposed to various industries and work situations before he stepped into the entrepreneur shoes. In 2016, he co-founded Untangle as a strategy consulting company. And at that time, he envisioned it to nurture and develop young talent in business. Untangle, however, still stays close to its roots of acting as a launchpad for youngsters. And works with a strong sense of ownership and entrepreneurship. Haris, welcome. And I'm so glad that you're part of our Restart India initiative.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for that amazing introduction. Very happy to
Yeah.
be here. Thank you for having me.
I just want to add one more thing. So Harris through Untangle has also been helping Restart India since our launch time. Untangle is also part of our response network. So if you remember, during the lockdown, we had started addressing concerns of small businesses. We launched our website, www.restartindia.in, and we'd invited small businesses to post their questions and any concerns they had in addressing the new normal. So, and these questions were um, responded to by both our mentors and our response network. So, Untangled's been on our response network and has been supporting Restart India since its launch a couple of months ago. Okay, so this being the first of this particular series of events, I just want to give an introduction on how it's structured. So we have like 5 different segments, and each segment would be discussing topics that are relevant to running a business. We'll start with the first one. Okay. So the first segment, we're just getting into it, is titled the what, when, why factor. So it's the most important W's in any business. So they look at the fact, like the points that are the foundation, the building blocks that decide the success of any enterprise, whether it's the smallest one or the largest one. So our idea is to inspire other business owners and to be entrepreneurs through these conversations. So I'm just going to open some questions out to you, both Bhavna and Harris. We'll start with you, Bhavna. Now, like I introduced you as a baker. So I just want to know, like, why? Why did you want to become a professional baker?
Okay, so as you had mentioned, this was a hobby which turned into a profession, right? So, uh, my passion for baking had started at a very young age. Back in school, also, I used to have these home science classes where we were taught the basics of baking and given a lot of recipes to try out. So basically, my holidays and weekends, my favorite hobby used to be trying out these recipes, giving it to my friends and family, and all. So, but it was very well appreciated by them, which made me think, okay, why not? Why not make to sell? But above all that, what I thought was, see, this was something which I thoroughly enjoyed doing. So then why not make that into a profession? So I think that was a point when I decided to do that, something which I thoroughly enjoyed doing. So why not take up and make to sell, reach more people, make more people happy with cakes that I bake. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Are you happy doing what you're doing?
Very much.
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so Harris, I'm going to pose the next question to you. Um, Again, going back to the intro, technology consulting. Maybe you can tell us like why technology consulting for large manufacturing firms, and definitely like please touch upon what it actually means as well.
Sure. Thank you for the question, Tina. I'd like to just to answer that question, just 3 key points within the question. One being consulting, another one being technology, and another one being manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
So obviously, I did not wake up one fine day and think, "Hey, let me start a technology strategy consulting company." That was not the idea. So I'm a graduate in business management, postgraduate in business management, and during my work days, that is when I used to work for other people's dreams. Uh, uh, During that time, I kind of knew that eventually I'd had to do something on my own. And one place that kind of fell into place, like that there's always that dream of doing something on your own and things like that. So kind of putting things together, me and my friend Tom, we decided to start a company that just helps other companies. So he's a chartered accountant, and then I was a major in marketing. So it made sense that maybe marketing and strategy could be taken care of by me, and the financial aspects and the things like that could be taken care of by him. So from that place, we thought we should start a consulting company. So for people who do not know what a consulting company means, just think of it as a doctor consulting a patient. Maybe a business has a problem, and the easiest way to understand is that um, uh, you know and somebody who has a perspective on business, wherein they can say that, okay, hey, here are the best practices that is in the market. If we do such and such things, maybe you could have such and such outcome. Now, when we started just with consulting alone, we quickly figured that just giving ideas or just having these standards in place will not work. A common factor was technology. Like in anything that we consult in businesses with, technology was a common factor. So it was kind of a natural progression into technology and into and not just recommending technology, but working with people who develop technology like apps and things like that, which can help businesses.
Yeah.
And why large companies? Usually because, obviously that again happened to be an opportunity that came by, which we grabbed. But large companies, specifically the ones that do not have technology as its final output, that is companies that, say, for example, manufacture food, or maybe maybe iron and steel and things like that. They do have an IT department which works with the company, but which kind of works in isolation also, because it's a bunch of developers working after all. So we kind of like to bridge the gap between the technology and the business itself. So this is how, kind of a long answer to that question, to answer why consulting, why technology, and why large companies. So this is where we kind of placed ourselves, not because we intended to start that way, but it happened to be a natural progression for us.
Yeah. So I guess like in all the work that you had done, you definitely saw this as a need and then moved into this line of business, right? With the initial consulting
100%.
work that, yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, coming back to you, Bhavna. So, Bhavna, like you had worked somewhere else as a marketing professional, and then you moved into a venture of your own. Like, what are some of the thoughts or the apprehensions that you had initially when you set out to start your own enterprise? Like, now you're on your own. That kind of feeling, or anything else that that was weighing on your mind when you started out?
So actually, back when I started, so I was working with a company. I was into marketing. So I think back then, baking was not something that was considered as a lucrative profession. Probably, maybe that's what I thought. Maybe it was, but this is what I had thought. So and also, like 6 years ago, selling only on digital platform like Facebook was something that was just beginning to get noticed. Right now, it was not as popular as it was today. So I wasn't really sure as to whether it would be successful or not, selling on Facebook and Instagram and all that. So I started out, I figured out ways in which I could make an attractive and an active social media page so that I could reach the customers, reach the customers who would be looking for my kind of products. I mean, the cakes I sell. So figuring out ways in which I can do that, something which was important, which I thought was important, was taking good photographs of the products. So it may just look easy just saying photograph of the product, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it, especially like when it comes to specialty products like your gift hampers and Christmas hampers, etc. You need to give so much thought into it. You need to see, okay, the location, the lighting, the backdrop, everything has to be considered when you're actually doing that. So but I gave a lot of importance to that because I thought with the resources I had, that could be one important step to reach prospective customers, or to build an image for my business. So but this process was was not something which I could do on a daily basis. Maybe back then when I had just one cake to do in like 2 days, it was okay, I could do all this. But later on it started becoming very difficult, so I had to find out ways in which I could do it quick. When I had to give out 3 to 4 cakes in a day, it was not easy to spend hours on clicking photographs. and
Yeah.
also and also, since in case of small businesses, you would be the one who would be doing most of the work around. So
Mm.
you have to manage time. So I found out ways in which I could. So I set up a small space where where there's good lighting, and then I invested on a phone which had good camera. So things became easy. So but now when I think of all that, I'm very glad that I decided on to sell my products on social media, and also consider baking as a profession, because all those apprehensions later on, where it turned out, everything turned out to be positive by God's grace. So I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But Bhavna, like seeing your work, I'll just have to say that, just saying that you make cakes is an understatement. I think you like create a work of art.
Thank you, Tina. Means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Harris, a similar question to you. Okay, so what are some of the things that you were scared of as you set out?
Um, Mostly the fact that I am not a developer, by like not an engineer. So how do you, you know, so knowing that yourself, and at the same time, the world telling you that you cannot do this, was my fear. Uh, but it was not substantiated. Mostly people said that out of their ignorance about my history or my passion for technology. So they just had a look at, okay, what did you do? So you're a business graduate. What do you know about technology? This was kind of a deal. And for a large part of my initial days, I believed that, and I thought, yes, I would not be able to comprehend this. But out of certain circumstances, I had to like one day like delve deep and take a deeper look at what this technology thing is all about. And honestly, what I figured is that uh, the non-technology world rather
Yeah.
has more to contribute to the technology world than the other way around, I would say. I mean, just to give you an example, and one of the ways in which Untangle as a company has been successful on many fronts is just in the way we communicate. Uh, Say for example, you know, uh, in the normal technology sphere, it's very common
Yeah.
for you to see extremely complicated terminologies, extremely complex, websites that, it's almost like a competition as to
Yeah.
who is saying the biggest word and the most trendiest word out there. Really forgetting the fact that, okay, whom you are really trying to solve problems for are normal businesses where there's a guy who's on top who just wants his business to be running properly and
Yeah.
profitably. Most, they really
Yeah.
don't care about all these crazy jargons and things like that. But yes, the fear initially was that, okay, I'm not a hands-on developer per se. Not that I have no understanding of how development works or that I have not learned any language, but not a hands-on developer. So that used to be my fear to start with, which was an unnecessary fear, I would say, and also encouraging, if there is anyone listening out there, uh, to say that, okay, if you have something in technology, especially if you have a product idea or some kind of an app that you want to create, and if you don't have a background in development, uh, don't worry.
Mhm.
there are there are people who can handle that. Not to say that development is a bad skill set to have; it's a great skill set to have. but don't let that one thing stop anybody, So that's a lesson from that. So thank you for asking that question, Tina.
That's actually very good.
Harris, like, I'm just reminded of something that someone told me a long time ago. Like, your qualification doesn't define you. Sometimes, like, we think back of, what we've studied, what we've done so far, and like we think, okay, am I going to waste all that by getting into something new? And we're just so weighed down by all of this, so we're scared to like step into another, like, what do you say, the entrepreneurial shoes or whatever it might be. But I think we limit ourselves so much by this fear. So thanks for bringing out that point.
Yes, absolutely. And just to add to that, it'd be encouraging for people to know that one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the world, Jack Ma, who owns Alibaba.com. I think he's an English teacher. Or at least that's the information that I have. So entrepreneurship, in the very essence of it, is about delving into the unknown, to have no fear, to think that, okay, there is some level of truth, or there's some level of goodness in what I want for others, and that I want to put into action, no matter what the noise might be around me. So it's always a worthwhile pursuit that way, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Bhavna, coming back, your cakes are great, I agree, but then you may have days, when you have to deal with customer complaints or bad reviews, just a bad day. Like, how do you handle all of this?
Yeah, bad days are bad, like for everyone, I suppose. Yeah, I've also had bad days, a couple of them. Thankfully, just a couple of them, in terms of customer complaints and bad reviews. So, anyways, it's not like good reviews alone. They're not gonna help you get anywhere. You will just keep thinking that you're the best, which is not good. So so I feel bad reviews are something which is it is something from where you can learn, how you can make yourself better or take the next step. So in terms of the kind of business I do, bad reviews or customer complaints generally happens when um, the customers, or if the other person's idea or expectations are not being met. Probably not because it was a bad cake, or if it was like if it was a defective cake or nothing like that. Mostly it would be because of the other person's expectations are not being met. So for example, if the kind of recipes or certain fillings which I use for my cakes might not hold those heavy structures which you see on my page. I mean, if any of you one of you have seen, some recipes you just cannot do that. So in that case, I would say, if you go ahead with something like that, if the customer comes to you with such a requirement and say, okay, this is the cake I want, and without educating them about the practical difficulties behind it, and if you go ahead with it, then things might go bad and then the customer might not be happy with your product. So I feel one way to deal with this is make the customer understand that these are the practical difficulties behind this, because you can't blame that person, since you're the one who has the experience in making the cake, and you're the one who knows what would go wrong. So that's one way to deal with that. So the customers' expectations are being met at the end of the day, because that's what ultimately makes a happy customer, right? Another way of customer complaints which you ask me would be when you're doing a business on social media, you have a lot of inquiries coming in, a lot of messages to reply to. So when the other person expects you to reply immediately, and if you don't, then that's also something which eventually leads to a bad review, if you're not
Yeah.
responsive enough. So uh, it might not be practical for me to immediately respond to every message that comes, because why small business owners have to run around for everything? I'll be the one mostly baking, decorating, and delivering cakes. So it becomes difficult to do that, but at the same time, it is important, like I said in the previous thing, that you have to spend time with the customer, understand their needs, understand their requirements, explain to them how we can go forward with the same. So for that you need time. So the best way to tackle this complaints which come arise out of this situation is, if you can just allocate some time, say like an hour or so, morning and evening, to reply to those messages. So, and also maybe let the customer know that, okay, these are your contact time, these are your contact hours, and you would be available at that time to reply, rather than just giving a short reply to when you're busy. So I
Yeah.
feel, so these are the ways which I try to tackle those customer complaints and bad reviews. But thankfully there've just been only a handful of them so far, so it's fine. Yeah. But thank you for that question, Tina. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for like
Yeah.
highlighting that it's important to be realistic here, So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah.
Bhavna. Harris, what about you? When you have a bad day at work, how do you handle them?
Um, I believe bad days are the days where I choose to worry the most. I mean, that's the easiest way to uh, put it. So I kind of direct uh, the issue toward myself, and those are some of the bitter truths that a person as an entrepreneur has to deal with. That most of these things are your own state of mind. So the days where I say, for example, I'm least planned, or maybe I am feeling the least spiritually strong, let's say, and that worry consumes me, those are pretty much the bad days at work. And because everything else, like even if it's an issue where something's gone wrong with the actual output, or something to do with your project or things like that, they should not really bog you down, because they do not uh, it's not the end of the world at all. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
really taking care of yourself and taking care that worry does not consume you, I would believe is the way to deal with bad days. And a bad day for me is a day where I worry the most. And it's, as I'm saying this, it's not that I have excelled out my way out of worries or anything. I mean, sometimes I'm talking to myself when I'm saying these things to other people also. Those days
Yeah.
happen. I'm just lucky that to know that that's a root cause. Worry is the root cause. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what a bad day looks like to me.
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, like, that sense of responsibility and that ownership, I mean, that it can be heavier on that person, because that ultimately the buck stops with you. So there's a lot that you're accountable for. So yeah, I get it. Like if you say that, your bad days when you're worried, and that can be often.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we're done with our first segment. So I'm just going to move on to the next bit, okay? And these are just like simple snippets. We just want to know, like, entrepreneurship is a journey, and that you're exposed to like different challenges and roadblocks. But every obstacle that you overcome is a new lesson that you learn from, and it takes you like one step closer to your goal. There may be like some happy moments, some funny moments, whatever it is. So I just want you both to share such moments with us, and I'll open it out first to you, Bhavna. Can you recall any funny moment or any kind of mix-up that you may have had in the initial days of your business?
Of course, yes. Maybe not a
Okay.
mix up, okay, but I think when you just asked me that question, the first thing that came to my mind is, there was this one day when I had to deliver two cakes. to two people having the same name, and and they both chose chocolate cake. Wow! And then with two different fillings and different color flowers. Okay, so the thing is that when I'm working on it, sometimes I need to just keep the cake in the chiller for a bit. So they both look identical, and I had to literally write big caps letters and paste it on the cake so that I wouldn't go wrong. So once that was done, and then I think I messaged the client. Usually after I take the order, I get all the details down, and then I proceed with the work, and I don't get back to the customer unless I have some doubts, but this, I think probably I would have checked with the customer at least 3 or 4 times just to make sure which color cake was hers. So then I had to I think when they came to pick up the cake, again, I had to ask them, okay, which was your cake? Was it the one with pink flower with the blueberry frosting? Or and then my mom also, like, she was constantly behind me asking, are you sure you gave the right cake to the right person? But thankfully there was no mix up or anything. But yeah, this day was like quite funny when I had to just keep checking, like, if I was doing the right thing. Like, yeah, that was one of those funny moments. The Another thing, this was actually very recent, but something which happened very long back. I think it wasn't that funny. It was quite scary also at the same time when I
Yeah.
when I just realized that I had to give a cake at 7 p.m. and it just like suddenly came to me at around evening. I had only 3 hours left to do the cake, but and I didn't have some ingredients with me, but so I had to run for that, make the cake. You there are some things which need some time, right? Like to bake, you need a fix. You can't speed up that process. It just has to happen. So, but I finished on time, and thankfully. So these are like the two incidents which I will never forget. Something that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bhavna, like, how do you keep track of, what you need to do? Like, is there a simple
And
way, a mechanism, maybe something that other people can follow?
yeah. So that incident where I almost forgot an order, that's the day when I started using planners. So now I have a monthly planner, I have a daily planner, and I have a weekly planner. So I think planners help you a lot to keep a track of your orders, and to get more organized so that you don't miss out on anything. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's when I actually started keeping a tab of what goes to what person, yeah, etc. So yeah, that was important. Even if that was a funny incident, it was something which made me do or take certain steps which I still follow. So yeah.
That's good. It's like your catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I was listening to Bhavna over the past few questions and responses, I was just noticing how similar, baking a cake is to, actually coming out with an app, for example, like baking
Oh
an
my
app.
God, I feel very happy like hearing that. I thought developing an app is something which you can't even think of. Okay.
Oh no,
That's
we do
nice.
just
Nice
as
to hear.
much. Just letting you know.
No, but that part
So,
where you said,
yeah.
that you did not have I think, a engineer background, but that actually makes, I feel, people like me feel very good about it. Like,
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So your cake baking experience is definitely going to help you with your app making experiences. That is
Yeah, I might even come to
no
you for
doubt about that.
developing an app.
Yeah, she needs to take her services pan India.
Yeah.
So
So
Sure, you know who to call.
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. So yeah, coming back to you, Harris. So what did you learn from your mistakes? Like, is there anything you wish you had done differently back when you started?
Yes. I mean, I don't like to use the word mistakes because it's a bit, it's being a bit hard on yourself. I like to say,
Yeah.
say they're lessons, you know.
Yeah.
Mistakes make it sound like that was the end of everything. And believing things as mistakes have cost me a lot in terms of health, in terms of joy, that has happened. But specifically coming to your, answering your question, I believe the mistakes that I've made, specifically during the times when I started the business, was sharing ideas with people, which, maybe ideas that I've had with too many people at the same time, or, so that poses a lot of risk. And I've seen young businessmen do that even today. So the risk with sharing your ideas, especially if they are like groundbreaking ideas and things like that, is that you will attract a lot of naysayers around you. A lot of people are going to say it's not going to work, and even if that idea was worth something, the chances of you taking it forward, just by the virtue of you having told to too many people, that works against you. So that is a case where your idea was good, or there's also the case where your idea was premature. Let's be honest. Like, some of the ideas are not fully thought out, so you decide to just put it out there. It's just gonna be it's gonna look like a badly made prototype that is out in the market, and that's not a good place to be. So yeah, those were the mistakes, or those were the lessons I've had, to be very deliberate about whom you communicate your ideas to. Make sure you're very careful about the channel of communication. Make sure that when you want to have a sincere feedback from somebody, say that, hey, here's an idea, and there is a chance that this is premature. Please listen out and tell me what you think. And make sure the listener is someone who wishes the best for you and want to see you succeed, right? Because otherwise it can really cost you a lot. And that's the lesson.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Harris, like, this is an important point, because I think every small business needs some kind of guidance at some point in time. So, like, picking the right person to speak to is really important. I mean, even with the small businesses that Muthoot works with, we know how much they interact with the relationship officers, outside of everything that's just related to financial services. Like, they talk about their business, and there's a lot of input that comes from another person. So I guess, like, small businesses at any level do need to speak to somebody. But there's a good point that you raised, that you need to be careful about who you are speaking to, so.
Absolutely. And I'd like to just add one more point to that, and specifically because it pertains to the Gen Z, that is the probably after 2000s or so, kids who are born after 2000s. They would have, they could take a lot from that particular thing, that they have to be careful whom they speak their ideas with. They don't have many people who can connect with, especially among the grown-ups. Their ideas and their outlook on life and things like that are so different from like people of our generation, or the ones before us, that they really be deliberate, and they need to be careful on whom they're discussing their ideas with, and they have the ones who listen to them have to be people who are willing to understand that, okay, these could be very, very different from what we are used to, and we can see a tremendous number of startups coming up very soon in the near future, and for them, this is a very important lesson to take away, that they have to be deliberate in the converse with.
Okay, that's great. Thank you to both Bhavna and Harris for that. So we'll move on to the next bit, segment 3. So that's Gyan time. So experiences, of course, make us wiser, and we learn from others' experiences. So, and there are many entrepreneurs, they run successful startups and advice, and they could do with your inputs, both of you, Bhavna and Harris. So I'm just asking this question. If there was one thing you could tell someone who wants to start a business, or say they're in their first 2 years of their journey, what would that one piece of advice be and why? Harris, I'll ask you first this time.
Sure. One piece of advice would be use the internet and don't let internet use you. That's.
You kept it very simple. Is that a tip on time management? Is that it?
No. I mean, it's on many levels. Like, if it's a person who's starting a business today, they have every reason to like be bogged down by too many ideas and okay, should I publish myself on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook and that and this at the same time? And oh man, if I don't do it on this platform, do I miss out? And it's going to be a bunch of these questions that they have to deal with all the time. Understand that internet, the ocean of information that's out there for you, is for you to use, right? It is for you to consume. Like, don't be sorry about that. Use internet instead of internet being this demon that you have to fight all the time. That okay, am I using it enough? Am I positioning myself enough? Am I communicating enough? All these different questions and really. Because it's very easy to get into that mindset right now, because there's like pull from all different directions, right? I mean, there could be okay if my product is a cake, and if I only put it out on a WhatsApp message, right?
Yeah.
Am I doing a good job? I'd say yes, you are. Like, that's an amazing start. If you can have a small number of customers from that who are loyal to you and whom you can have a good connection with and get a good feedback loop with, that's still you being digital and that's you still being relevant. So don't let all the noise, control you. And that's my
pearls of wisdom. Yeah. Bhavna, what about thanks, Harris. Bhavna, what about you? Like, what's your piece of advice for someone who's starting out?
I think mine would be a very, very obvious answer, but it's something which I followed, like I said earlier, there were a lot of apprehensions. I was doubtful if this would work, etc. So there's a lot of doubts, confusion. And like what Harris had said, you discuss your idea and people, I remember people might just tell you, okay, are you sure? Sending through Facebook, is it going to work? Or I also, on the other hand, there are people saying, oh, everyone is sending through, Facebook. So it's like two sides. You have different kinds of people telling you different, things. But yeah, apart from all that, what you really have to give it a thought and you have to just try it out. If you have an idea and if it's something which you can try, I would say just go ahead and try for maybe just test the waters, 1 or 2 months, see how it works. If it doesn't work also, it's okay. I'm sure there'll be other ideas which you have in hand. So just go forward, but always you have to have say like an idea or a plan as to, okay, these are the things which I will stick on to. Okay, like in my case, my focus was on quality, giving a quality product, and also how I would showcase my quality product to the rest of the world. Okay, so these are the two things which I worked on initially. First 2 years, I wouldn't say first 2 years, I'm still doing that. So I think focus on those key points, work on it, and if that doesn't work, then find out why it doesn't work. Find out, maybe not the internet, but 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 yeah, that's also a good option, like Harris said. But so you just go ahead and do it and see if it works out. It's rather than not doing anything, and rather than just assuming that, okay, will my idea work or will my idea not work. So so I think I just went ahead with it, and I definitely had people around supporting me, and I focused on, like I said, those two key points, which I'm still doing, and I think it worked fine. So I think that would be the advice which I would like to give for someone who has a business idea and is also doubtful at the same time, because I used to be someone like that back then. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like one key takeaway is to not compromise on quality, like no matter at
Yeah.
what point of time for any
Yeah.
business owner. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the only way that a business owner can remain credible.
Yeah, if you have a quality product, you will automatically have good customers. So there's no doubt on that. There's
Yeah.
nobody out there who we know has a very good product but no customer. Then the problem would be that people don't know about the product. Then
Yeah.
it's another issue. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Those were both two very good takeaways. So we're coming to the next segment. So we'll just play something for you, for everyone to see. This segment is called Let's Watch This One. So here we will showcase the story of a local small business. Uh, they may have done something novel, and their little acts of innovation is expected to be a source of inspiration to other small businesses. We call these small businesses Restart India champions. So let's watch the story of this Restart India champion, Deepa. So the reason we played this for you and why we're calling sorry, there's just some echo. Just gonna correct that. Yeah. So the reason, why we're saluting Deepa as a Restart India champion is like when the lockdown initially happened, her family was finding it difficult to sustain themselves. Her husband wasn't getting an income from his painting job. But instead of giving up, she was quick to think on her feet. Like she looked for another opportunity to, what do you say, get the family back on track. So from like what I feel is that her attitude to change and her courage is something that we can all learn from. But as two business owners, like, what do you both think about Deepa? Bhavna, what do you think? What do you think sets Deepa apart, and how can other small businesses learn from her?
See, I feel this is definitely what Deepa has done is definitely something which small businesses should look at or take a note of. We have to, okay, we did not know that this would happen, right? This whole pandemic, and it's not in our hands to change the same also.
Yeah.
So with what we have as in small businesses could see ways in which they can sustain themselves in the present situation, with what's happening around. Yeah. And if in case if that's not possible, then they should probably see areas in which they would work, with the kind of resources or expertise they have. They could find out what are the other areas in which they can work. They could also consider that this as an opportunity to diversify. You would never know, probably whatever you're getting into now would turn out bigger than what you were doing initially. So
Yeah.
I think Deepa, if you look at Deepa's story, Deepa was someone who did not, not do anything. She was cooking for her family, so then she decided, why not, similar to mine. So she was she decided to just make this into a business. So I think yeah, it's something which we all can look up to, with whatever you have, how you can contribute, yeah. So
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
thanks.
she was just being she was very positive and responsible, and not wait for, things to get better. Rather, she acted immediately and uh, looked out for opportunities to do so. So yeah.
Yeah, made the most of what's there.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all should do that.
Yeah. What do you think, Harris? What can we take away from what Deepa has done? I mean, like she started a business and she also did like home, she was delivering it to bachelors. So, like, what's the one thing we can take away from Deepa's enterprise?
Um, the fact that she worked with what she had, I mean, that's basically what it is, and that's the mark of a true entrepreneur of any size. It really doesn't matter what your background is, but if you have the tenacity to work with what you have, that really sets you apart, and that's really what Deepa has done as well. And
Yeah.
for Deepa, might be more, uh, you know, the need was very real, as was the case with a lot of
Yeah.
families in India during the time of lockdown, where uh, you know they were forced to find ways to make sense of whatever talent they have, which has its own positives, I would say. And also, I mean, on that note, I just like Deepa, I really appreciate how women in general do this. I mean, I would also think that people who take their talents or hobbies or things that come at ease, for them, in the sense come as a second nature to them. Not ease. Ease is not the right word. Maybe
Yeah.
come as second nature to them. They take it forward as a career, and I've seen women do that the most, and women being. I'd also tell you like something kind of interesting on this front. It's really hard to hire a woman with a strong sense of entrepreneurship for the company. Hire, because most likely if she has that, she would have done something on her own.
Yeah.
Unlike men usually it's. I mean, I'm just speaking from my experience of hiring people. It's really hard to find women who have that spirit to be hired, because they usually just go out there and just do it. And I would say that they are much wiser that way. I mean, women are much wiser that way. And I see that mark in Deepa as well. Uh, and yeah, props and respect to Deepa for pursuing this right now. And I truly believe catering nutritious food, especially sustained meal systems for maybe couples who are both working in a
Yeah.
lockdown situation at
Yeah, yeah.
home. That's a pretty sharp business idea as well, and I think it's really good that Deepa held on to that. So that's my
Yeah.
take.
Okay. So this is just a message to everyone who's watching. If you have helped a small or nano business in your locality to restart, do record a short video of the shop. Tell us what you did and post it on social media and tag us using these hashtags: hashtag Restart India, hashtag Muthoot Blue, hashtag Ink Talks. So we're going to move on to our last session, which is Ask Me Anything. We've got a couple of audience questions. We're just going to see how many we can address. I'm just going to post the first one. It's come specifically to you, Bhavna. It's from Kanchan Raj. Okay, what she wants to know is what kind of challenges did you face during COVID, given your line of business?
Okay, challenges. See, with the kind of business I do, or with the kind of cakes I make, I I never trusted, to be honest, a third party to deliver my cakes. So I always insisted on the clients to come pick it up from, my workplace. So that was one big challenge, which had happened during COVID, because obviously people were not allowed to travel much, right? So delivering cakes were an issue for me, and I had to resort to third party agents who, they were also startups, and they specifically targeted on, their they used to deliver cakes. That's how they marketed themselves. So I was very nervous, very confused. I didn't know if I should be doing that. So, but I still went ahead and I approached them and I asked them to deliver cakes. But I have to be honest, they have delivered cakes, or my cakes has reached absolutely safe all the way to Trivandrum, Kottayam, Kannur, Thrissur, all these places. So it was a challenge, but I'm glad that there was a solution to it, and it also helped me. Like, it also helped me to cater to those clients who are not in Kochi also. So yeah, it was a challenge, but uh, there was a solution, thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah, you stepped into like new frontiers with the
Yeah.
lockdown, right?
So,
um, yeah, thanks, Pavna. Okay, I guess like we'll take one quick question for Harris. This is from Shilpa in Delhi. So she's asking, customer reviews add credibility to every small business. What are the ways in which customer reviews can be encouraged? Customers can be shared to encourage reviews.
Could you repeat that question? I'm sorry, I'm not.
Wait, yeah, I'll read it. I think I misread it. Customer reviews add credibility to every small business. What are the ways in which customers can be encouraged to share reviews? How do we encourage customers to share reviews?
Uh, my quick reaction would be that that's a positioning exercise. By positioning, I mean, how is it that your brand is really speaking? Is your brand willing to be someone who is something, is your company willing to be one with the customer where you're like, okay, we want to serve you better. For that reason, please provide us this feedback. And let if there is something wrong with the way that we have served you, let me be the first to offer you whatever, to make you whole. So this has to be a part of your brand's communication. It could be you personally as an entrepreneur speaking, or this getting out as a communication in itself in all your, it has to be a tone in the way you communicate. So this way the customer feels like, they are valued, that their ideas are valued. And if they share something, they're going to see an iteration to that, or they're going to see a variation in your product line in accordance with what that feedback was. So as long as the customers can see that, they kind of see some point in giving you that review. So it's really that. It's really just keeping yourself open to that. It's not very easy. I mean, it's easier said than done, because you need to have really, really thick skin to listen to critique, and say that, bite down your pride and say that, yes, that is valid, and I will make those changes. It's a very, it affects your ego a lot, but it is an exercise that you need to do. And some of the toughest conversations you have with yourself would be in places like that. So yeah, I mean, just always make sure your brand communicates in a way that it encourages customers to share the feedback, and once you've done a variation to that, communicate back to that customer that, hey, we've done this, honoring your feedback, and hey, see how it has bettered our business, and thanks for that.
Yeah, being
Wouldn't that
very
be
honest.
what we do on an individual level? Yeah. Honesty works. Especially in this day and age where everything is just out there, on the digital sphere. Everything is like rated in 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, all this stuff. It's good to be honest, because it doesn't work otherwise at all. You're going to pay the penance for hiding things. So it's good to be honest when you.
I'm so glad Bhavna and Harris, both of you mentioned this fact. Like, as a business owner, like, you're not saying that you'll take everything that comes your way. You're being very realistic about what you're putting out there, So it's good to know, because I guess we have a tendency of like saying, okay, bring it on, I'll do anything. And then, you'll have to face the music at the end of it.
You'll just end up having a unsatisfied customer, maybe.
Maybe that's probably not a good place to be in.
Yeah.
So I guess we're coming to the close. So I just want to thank you both, Harris and Bhavna, for the very meaningful conversation and like great insights. I'm sure everyone here had a lot to take away from everything that you've said, the gyan and like all the funny moments that you've had. It was really good. It was a good conversation. So thank you to both of you. And I'll just close off. So to everyone who's watching, please continue to visit us on our website, www.restartindia.in, and our social media pages for exciting updates, resources that can help you in your small business. And do join us for our next event of Let's Talk Business, where we will have like very raw conversations with small business owners just like you, so that you can learn from them. We're here to journey with you. This is Risa India. Bye. Bye, everyone.